And our number of absent in person and absentee were.
There should be a report in the board members' packet. In person, we had 57,677, plus another almost 2,000 provisionals that were cast. Therefore, we had 60,000 people that came for in-person voting, which is a record, obviously. Typically, for a presidential, we have about 36,000. So, obviously, that's a record number amount for in-person voting.
That's in person. That's not even counting the absentees.
And we had almost 100,000 absentee ballots returned, which is obviously another record. Typically, we have about 55,000 for a presidential election. So, huge early votes were cast in Montgomery County.
So, was election day lower turnout than normal because of all the prior voting?
Yes.
Okay.
And that was our goal. If board members recall, Jan and I, when we planned this election out, our goal was 150,000 early votes, and we exceeded that, closer to 160,000 early votes to alleviate that stress on election day. And therefore, we only had about 110,000 that actually voted on election day, which reduced it down to more like an odd year or a low turnout for a gubernatorial. Under the circumstances with the pandemic and the social distancing, that was our goal to, again, to alleviate the stress on election day. And I think we were successful outside of the first 2 hours. Very similar to what happened on Sundays and Saturdays here for in-person. Voters started queuing up before we were allowed to vote by law, and it took a little time to knock that line down, but once that happened, it's a relatively smooth process.
I would suggest to Lynn, you get a chance to look at our wall of compliments that we have received from people who, just regular people, who came through the process of voting. And that is a huge compliment to staff and to the organization on how well we've done. So I'd like for you to take a look at that, Miss Lynn.
Point it to the wall and I will look at it. I will take a picture of the wall.
Oh, great. Because, you know, so many times, and especially this has been a challenging year in so many ways. And that to have people actually commenting, compliments about how we ran things here in Montgomery County. That is a tribute to the leadership of Director Kelly, Deputy Director Hirschman, and the wonderful staff that we have. And I do want to say this, is that as you look around the country on different things, the bipartisanship of this board is to be commended and respected because we work for the voters of Montgomery County and we have not allowed the politics to interfere with our mission. So I think board members, do you have anything else to say before we let Deputy Director Hirschman speak? And we got to make a motion also for the certification. It's a big certification. Let us allow our newest member to make the motion for the certification of the November 3rd, 2020 presidential election.
Thank you. I move that we certify this election of November 3rd of November 2020.
I second.
It's been properly moved and second to approve the certification of the November 3rd, 2020 presidential election. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, any abstentions? The motion carries. At least we're not Michigan. Deputy, Director Kelly.
Not yet. I wanted to thank the board, first of all, for your leadership, your thoughtfulness, and your trust in all of us, especially Steve and I running the personnel day-to-day issues here at the board. I can't thank you enough for all that you do for us and have done for me for the past number of years in my leadership here. Our staff, for everything that they do, from being asked to share radios to not share radios, to scream numbers up to the lobby for long lines, to run point, to run outside to the ballot box, to run over to curbside, to deliver bottled water to people, to the many, many things that do, the shift, what they're doing to do something else, to have Steve yelling out because we're not here at 6:59 a.m. at their desk ready to go, to everything that the staff does without any kind of aggravation or annoyance for the most part. They're just wonderful, and I really have enjoyed working with them over the years. And the voters were great. The voters were patient with us. They followed the rules during this difficult time that we're in 2020, and they were very kind as a whole to us and our processors, and we really appreciated that, especially with the long lines every day. Sometimes when you have long lines and a lot of people, it can get kind of scary, or things can get out of order very quickly. Even the campaigners in the garage helped to keep things in order. We talked about that yesterday, and that was a nice thing. The media, we want to thank the media for helping with educating our voters and the public, and for this, dealing with the Zoom press conferences in a different way. And then we'd like to thank the SOS for our regional liaison for answering questions very quickly. This administration answers questions, legal and other. They're very responsive, and that is very helpful in leading this ship. And thank you for certifying the election. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Deputy Director.
And excuse me, I do have one other thing. Thank you, Steve. It was a pleasure to work with you. We worked long and hard on this election together for at least a year, if not more, in selecting the equipment, knowing that we were going to be using it for the presidential election. And we got along really well. Enjoyed working with you. And thank you.
So are you all still working married, or?
She is my office wife.
That sounded, it sounded good. So I just wanted to make sure you all, it was still good.
It's a good marriage.
We had some rough patches, but we got through it.
Deputy Director Heidi Sherman.
Thank you, and I'd like to echo some of the comments that Director Kelly made as well. Our board and our team effort starts at the top with our board members empowering us, providing the resources that we need to do the great job that we have done in the past, and we did this election. During my 30-year career, I've administered 125 elections. This is my 125th election. And it's always been our goal to run the perfect election. That was always, and we always talk about, that may not be obtainable, but that needs to be our goal. And I want to report for the record, under the circumstances of this pandemic and all the other dynamics, we did run the perfect election. And I cannot be more proud from Director Kelly and I's relationship to our staff's commitment. The sacrifice it takes to be an election official in today's elections compared to 30 years ago is night and day. Our families become second. We work Saturdays, Sundays, long hours. We come in, we plan to leave at 4, something happens, we don't get out of here till 7. The team effort that we put in this election, we have nothing but pride. And we all, as a team, should be very prideful for the job that we did. So I want to thank the board for all the resources and empowerment. We've received praise from all fronts. We talked about the Wall of Fame, from the voters, from the commissioners, to the mayors, to across the county, candidates, as Director Kelly mentioned, even the campaigners up there saw our effort, and we tried to work with crowd control. Bill was up there on a regular basis, keeping everything in line. Sarah ran point, which is probably the hardest job in this whole process of keeping voters processing and timely under the 6-foot distancing. I believe Miss Halsey came through and voted. I saw her in the line, and I appreciate her being here. And the media did do a great job helping get the message out to the voters, and that was great to see. And it was a team effort all the way across Montgomery County. This was the second election that we conducted with our new system. Obviously, the second election was planning on being the March election, and we know that story and what happened there. We were required to do training virtually for any previous poll worker, and then we did in person for the new poll workers. We had 55% that were brand new. 55% brand new in the presidential election under the pandemic conditions. That alone is the testament of the job that our team did here in Montgomery County. Obviously, being a large county, there's expected amount of problems. We have 372,000 voters with a 72.69% turnout. There's going to be some problems. We handled them quickly, efficiently, professionally, and our poll workers did a great job, especially the new ones that were thrown into the fire, and we're very proud of that. We recruited 1,850 total poll workers, which is the most ever. And I thank the Secretary of State for their media marketing to help us recruit. That was our number one concern going into this election, was poll workers under the pandemic concern. And we had an unbelievable outpouring of support from that perspective. And so I just wanted to make those comments for the record because I think it's important to understand the task and the job that we did as a team as a whole. So thank you for that. And I want to thank Jan too. Jan and I have been working together for many, many years as co-directors, and you know, it starts at the top with board members, it starts with us and carries down to the staff. And I just want to congratulate her for her leadership and congratulate her on her retirement. I'm very excited for you. I'm going to miss you, and congratulations to all.
Thank you. Board members, you have any? Well, I'm going to talk about the risk limiting audit. It's December the 2nd and the 3rd. And then the selection of the contest to be audited. Is that today?
Correct. The Secretary of State has selected 2 of the 3 races, and
They're doing it now. This is a different type of audit than we normally do.
this is
not the legal women voted on.
This is the audit that is required under that from those lawsuits. But we are doing we have 2 choices, and we have chosen the risk limiting audit, which is permissible now, and we have done one before. We are doing that this time again. And Bill and Sarah are going to be leading in that arena for this election. And we have selected, or the Secretary of State has already selected 2 races that all 88 county boards will be doing. And then the board is asked to select one countywide contest in which the number of candidates for that contest, including eligible write-in contest, does not exceed the number of candidates to be elected. And Steve and I looked at the ballot last evening, and what we did was we looked at where it would be easiest for staff to see the elected officials in that race, and we would recommend to the board that they select the race for county commissioner for the full term commencing 1/2/2021, which was a requirement of the Secretary of State to be that between Arlene Setzer, Republican, and Judy Dodge, Democrat.
Which were the 2 races the Secretary indicated for all you?
The presidential contest, including all candidates, including valid write-in candidates, and the contest for Justice of the Supreme Court, term beginning 1/1/21, including both candidates.
Okay. Which Supreme Court race was that?
Judy French and Jennifer Bruner.
And the one county commissioner that's here.
Correct.
On the board.
Yes, we need a motion on that. And risk limiting audit will, as you said, the plan will start on the 2nd.
What time is it start?
8:30.
Okay.
Yes. We think it'll probably only take one day, but we always schedule two just in case.
The real work with any audit is the preparation, not necessarily the audit itself, so we have several days to get that ready, so. Director Kelly mentioned, be able to conduct the audit itself.
We had a person from the Democracy Fund come help us last time with the RLA, and I've been in contact with him and have asked him to help us remotely again. And he's looking at the schedule because I think he is in Georgia right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the risk limiting audit and the selection of the Montgomery County race between Commissioners between Debbie Lieberman and Arlene Self. Oh, I'm sorry. Judy Dodge and Arlene Seltzer, is that right? Okay, thank you for the correction. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second to approve the risk limiting audit with the selection of the specific contest in Montgomery County between Seltzer and Dodge. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the motion carries. Director Kelly,
I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Deputy Director Armstrong.
No more comments.
Okay, it's time for, members, would you like to say something before I open it up to public comment?
Being the newest member of the board, I just would like to say that I'm honored to be on this team. It's quite humbling. We serve with people who have the distinctions that are on this, as both as directors on this board. So, honored to be here and thrilled to be on this team. Thank you.
We're happy to have. Next to the end.
Well,
In time, sir.
That's true. I'm no longer the newest member on the board. I would want to start by saying that, in the climate nationally that we're in, it's been refreshing every day to come in and work with everyone here, because even though we're explicitly partisan, I feel like we all have one goal in mind, and that's the service of the voter at the Montgomery campus. So that feels really refreshing and sometimes disjarring, or divorced from what you see on TV. However you'd like to put that, but it is in my few years on the board. Other states where it's not explicitly partisan, folks from those states at conferences and when we travel and met other colleagues from other offices don't often understand how we can do it here in Ohio and being explicitly partisan. And it's not what it sounds like, I guess, is what I tell them. we find a way. I would just also like to thank all of the people that you and Director and Deputy Director thanked on the record. The staff, the temporary and the full-time and the part-time and the seasonal and the in-between. It's a heavy lift this year. And I think we commented in the last few days as we proceeded with the certification to have these conditions of this turnout and so few issues and so few sort of one-off oddball problems, that there are, as Steve said, there will always be some, but it was amazing that more didn't crop up under these circumstances. So that really goes to show how professional things were done here. So thank you. And
Yes. I'd like to recognize Kenny for adding another voter into.
Future voter.
Yes, voter. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we appreciate your due diligence with us at all times, so thank you very much. I've made my comments, so I'm gonna open it up to the public comments. Anyone with public comments that they would like to make? Mr. McManus?
No, Madam Chair, thank you.
I'll say, I'll reiterate, while other offices had to transition to a digital workplace in 2020, Ohio's boards of elections really had to double down to continue operations here in regards to keeping employees safe and healthy and voters safe and healthy. So securing PPE, so much happened this year that the public isn't aware of. And individuals may think that those in elections only work a couple days a year. It's so not true. And this year, elections workers, I really feel are recognized, especially here in the county for all they did. So thank you all. We know the hours you put into it. I've heard nothing but great things from the voters of the county here in which I also reside. So we couldn't have done it without the 4 regular staff members in the room under the leadership from the board. So thank you all.
Thank you. And I think that's something we really need to acknowledge publicly, that when other offices within the county building were shut down and working remote, the Board of Elections was trudging right along every day. So we never had that luxury. So with that,
If you want to ask Lynn, I didn't know.
Madam Lynn, you want to ask some questions while we're
Yeah,
here?
I'll catch these guys.
Oh, you'll catch them later? Okay, thank you.
Actually, I do need to, what the heck, I'll ask it if you're asking. What will be the process for replacing Jan Kelly, the irreplaceable Jan Kelly?
Oh, okay, since we're recognizing that she is retiring, it will be, the Republican Party will choose whom they want to replace her. Is that correct, Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Okay.
When does all this happen?
Ms. Kelly, now I'm not a member of that party, so I think you're gonna have to answer the rest of these questions.
That hasn't been decided yet.
When do you leave?
My official last day physically here is December 8th.
I'll do the others, but
Okay.
that way I don't keep everyone, my incessant
And
nagging
we
questions.
know how well you can do. We appreciate
I
that.
can go on.
When we have, our next meeting is Tuesday, December the 8th, at 11 o'clock. It's kind of gonna be like 11:15. Because I got my radio still. So it'll be 11:15. And, I'd like to make that correction, it'll be 11:15. You know, because it's a fluff and stuff. And, may I have a motion for adjournment?
Move to close the meeting or to adjourn?
It's been properly moved in second to close the meeting and adjourn. All in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the motion carries.